And a very, very good morning to everybody out there. Welcome to Australia. I figured, well, it's extremely cold up here in the northern hemisphere. Why not go down to Australia and fulfill a promise that I made a few days ago? I released a couple of shorts, and you saw the A2A simulations Piper Aerostar 600, and I said, well, that's a very unique destination, and that's what we like to do here. We like to fly to unique destinations, not just do a lot of airline flying like most people. Believe it or not, it's approximately 90% of all YouTube videos with regard to flight simulation have to do with airline videos. So we do airline videos every once in a while, but we like to really get into what the name of the channel is all about and really put that up against this video and just every video from here on out, and that is Fly Adventures. So here we are in Adelaide, Australia, and final destination is going to be Ayers Rock, like I said, but we're not going to fly there direct, even though we have the fuel to do it, kind of. Don't want to take any chances, especially with the temperatures as hot as they're going to be. The airplane is going to want to climb as well as it would. But I mean, it's going to get over 100 degrees here in Adelaide. It'll be 104 Fahrenheit very shortly. So that's why that's why we're doing this while the sun isn't quite up yet, so just at the break of dawn. And yes, here we are. And this aircraft was made possible by Patreon. So a big shout out goes out to the members of Patreon here. And we're going to be going to a very unique airport, very unique city, I should say, and that is William Creek. It's a very interesting place. We'll be talking about the history of William Creek on our way up there. And after that, we're just gonna sit back and watch the engines, make adjustments as we need to, and also manage the temperature on the inside of the aircraft, because we're going to be climbing up to 9,000 feet. As a lot of you know, this aircraft does not have turbochargers and it's not pressurized, so we won't be going above 10. So 9,000 feet should be pretty good. So let's get in the airplane and set everything up. And yes, as you can see, with the chocks removed, the pitot heat cover there on the top of the vertical step, the tower and or tail, depending on what you want to call it, is removed. So yeah, I already did a briefly walk around, and let's get this show on the road. Let's see, what is the temperature outside right now? Temperature is 70 and just shy of 70, we'll call it 67 degrees, 68 degrees. Alright, and since that is the case, we can go ahead and close the door and not be concerned about it getting too hot. Make sure everything latches as it should. Latched. Both latches are green. Good. Alright. Couple of things before turning on the battery. Let's get our HSI lined up. What's the Whiskey Compass say? The Whiskey Compass is telling us 036. Let's go with that. Alright, let's go with 036-ish, if you will. Does that look right? 036. That's about right. And we gotta get the altimeter set. I do believe the altimeter is the airport. I know for a fact is 20 feet above sea level. When it's really hot out, like it's going to be, relying on the barometric pressure is not the best thing to do when it gets really hot. For those of you that live in states like Arizona, or maybe even you live in Australia, when things get really hot, the atmosphere is a little different, and you can't really rely on the altimeter setting. You gotta go with more, well, what does the chart say with regard to the field elevation? The field being the airport. So 20 feet. But we're going to go ahead and check that anyway, because with this temperature, let's type it in here. Oh, here we are. Alright. Let's just look at the altimeter setting. 106, of course, Q&H. Q&H meaning it's on the metric system. Alright. Let me grab it from an online source real quick. You know what? Aerostar, the tablet has its own weather. What is it here? 2968. See how close was I? 2968. Yeah, that's not quite accurate. Again, the elevation here in Adelaide is 20 feet above sea level. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. Alright. Go to our checklist. Even though I do know how to fly it, I just want to go through a couple things. Pre-flight, let's see if we can move this a little bit. Pre-flight complete, we did that. Passengers, there aren't any. No passengers, so therefore no briefing. Seat belts, mine's on. Alright. Cabin door closed and locked, batteries off, gear switch down. Batteries off, gear switch down. Flaps are up, brakes, test for firm, meaning they just want to make sure that the pedal's here, which I have. Okay. Brake brakes, flight controls are free, correct. Well, we can do this real quick. We can do it this way. Oh, the pad's in the way. The only thing you can really look at is the aileron from where we are. Like on the left aileron here. I'm going to say the flight controls are free, correct. Okay, back to the pad. iPad. Alright, now we can do battery on. And the HSI moved on it. Did it move on me just a bit? I want to say yes. 038. This stay 03. It's just on the border of 4. It moved a little bit, didn't it? It moved a wee bit. You gotta move it back. Alright. Yeah, because it's almost on the 4. Almost at 040. So one little notch to the that way. Okay, good. Alrighty. Gear lock lights. Yep. Elevator and neutral. That is hydraulic shut off is open. Auxiliary hydraulic is in the on position, which is odd, but fuel. We need more fuel. That's interesting. Let's very quickly top it off. Because, believe it or not, we are flying to a very, very remote airport. And as the atmosphere warms up, we're going to want a cushion with regard to our range. I'm going to turn on the nav lights here. And where are we going, you might be saying to yourself? Did I say it already? If I didn't, then I'll say it again if I did. Sorry. We're going into William Creek. And again, like I said, we'll be talking about that town on the way up there. And don't worry, this video has chapters, so you can skip from one chapter to the next so you don't have to watch the whole flight, because it is about 2 hours and 10 minutes up to William Creek. And then this is part 1, and then part 2 is going to be from William Creek, then up to Ayers Rock. And that'll be a really, really cool adventure. We're going to see if Microsoft delivers on the graphics. Alright, are we good to go? Fuel is at low, fuel off. That is. All circuit breakers are in. Yes, they are. Alright. Altimeter in the clock. Well, we're going to see in a minute why we don't need the clock. Alrighty, engine start. Prop all the way forward. Make sure idle cut off. Throttles. We're going to crack them. Both of them. And yeah, starting the Aerostar, it is a different startup procedure. No doubt about it. Alright. Low fuel warning. Let's just test the annunciator panel real quick. And we're going to test the autopilot panel with regard to the lights, which you're essentially testing. And that test doesn't work quite yet. Once we get an engine up and running, then it will. Alright. Battery on, low fuel on, and next fuel selector cycle and listen. What does that mean? If you listen careful, when I move this from off to on, you'll hear the selector move. That's why it says fuel selector cycle and listen. It's very faint. I'll do that again. One more time. There you go. Pretty detailed if you ask me. Alright. Right, make sure. We're going to turn on the fuel boost pump for that engine first, but make sure we're going to bring her all the way up. What we're looking for is those of you that might not be that familiar with the Aerostar, or maybe you are and you want to know about it a little deeper. I'm going to push. You're not going to be able to see it, but I'm going to push the mixture lever all the way up. I'm going to do for both engines, and you'll see the fuel flow gauge go out to 5 gallons an hour. On the right engine, that is. Because the fuel boost is on. Alright. And you bring it back to... and this is what makes it different. You check to make sure it's full. Check fuel flow. We did off. So I'm reading on line item number 8. And then you go back to off. And then you engage the starter in the full rich as the engine fires. Okay, that's what they want you to do. So that is what we're going to do. Turn on the beacon light. That should be on the checklist, and it is not on that checklist. Alright, here we go. And the other thing that makes it easy for the engine to catch and begin to do its thing with regard to storing it is having the throttles cracked. And I crack them more than that, which is what the book wants. I crack them up here. That way there's gonna be enough fuel going in. Why it's vibrating like that, I don't know. Alright. Gotta engage the magnetos both, and here we go. Starting right engine. There we go. Good start. What you want to do, you want to idle the engine at 1000 RPM. Alright, if you don't, the chances of that engine dying on you, pretty good. It's very, it does that a lot. Alright. Of course, we looked at the suction. I didn't go over that. Suction is in the greens where we want it. And turn on the right alternator. Now we're not draining the battery. And now we're going to do the same thing for the left engine. Fuel boost. I'm going to leave the left mixture on to rich. And the reason I do that is because I don't want to manually click or manipulate any of the engine controls, since I have a physical control here. Why is that? For some odd reason, sometimes in the Aerostar, the controls, the Aerostar begins to ignore your inputs from your physical quadrant, like I have. So I'm going to leave that rich. And the left engine, it should catch right away. So the one issue with this, hopefully I'm not going to jinx myself. Let's do it the old-fashioned way. Let's go ahead and bring it back to idle. Engage starter. Do the way they want it. And of course it works. Alright. Hopefully they both stay up and running while we set up the avionics. And they're both in sync, which is great. Another reason we're doing it at the time of day we are. And yes, this is live weather, so we didn't make it up. Alright, warm up, run up. Warm up to, well, you leave it at 1,000 RPM. Engine front temps. Everybody should be good to go. Cylinder head temp. They're both in the green, looking good. Oil. Fuel. Everybody is good. Alright, prop. Full forward, they already are. Mixture is rich. Okay, here we go. We're gonna do a run up right here on the ramp. Nobody's around, so we'll go ahead and do that. We're gonna go ahead and turn on the avionics and get everybody aligned while we do it. 1,500 RPM. And we'll check out the magnetos here. The right mag first. Okay, right. Sorry, left. Here's a drop of about 50. Back to both. Right mag only. Drop. Good. And both. Very good. And now the left. Left only. Little bit of a drop. Good. And the right mag only. And back to both. Very, very important to do that, to check the mags, because back when I was taking flying lessons in the 90s, I had a magneto failure in a Piperton Hawk in the dead of winter when it was about 12 degrees outside, so very good there. Engine instruments track, yep, alternator check for 28 volts. It's 20, yeah, 28, 29. Alright, throttle setter for, sorry, some of this is from memory from another Piper aircraft I flew. Now we're just gonna cycle prop, so we're gonna take her up to 2100 on the prop here. And we're gonna cycle them 4 times, so 2100 on the RPM. Always make sure the parking brake is holding. 2800. Sorry, 2100 RPM. And now we're gonna cycle them back to 1,000. Not the throttles, but the props. Good. Back up. 2100. Good. Back down. You don't want to bring it down real fast. Otherwise, it will plummet on you. Guaranteed. Okay, EDM is adding a little bit. No. Back up. Back down. $1,000-ish. There we go. Back to 1,100. One more time. One more time. And yes, your manifold pressure is almost always going to do the inverse of what the prop is doing. Constant speed prop is they are important to understand as to how they work. And now we're going to bring them back to 1,000 RPM using the throttle, not not the prop controls. Condition levers depends on the aircraft you're in. So bring the props back to 1000 RPM by using the throttles, not the prop controls. Alright, warm up, run up. Are we done with all that? We are good. We checked the magnetos already. Anyway, that's okay, we did it. Alright, my bad. Okay. In other words, it wants you to check the props and then the magnetos. Wow, so that's 100. Yeah. Other Piper aircraft, they have you run up to 1800 and do everything at that, so we're fine. Alright, Warren, we did all this fun stuff before takeoff. Cabin door is lock, controls are free. Make sure full forward fuel clutches are both on. Prop full forward. Boost pumps on and on. Instruments are going to get there as soon as we are done with this checklist. We're going to plug in our flight plan on the wonderful Garmin GTN 750. So let's see, flaps at 20, and we do need as much lift as we can get because we are heavy, full of fuel. Now, remember, the flaps on this aircraft are interesting. There's not up or down per se. You gotta go to the neutral position, go down, watching that needle. Once it hits 20 degrees, boom, back up to neutral. Oops. There we go. Right on the money. Alright. And PWE not required. Parking brake, gonna release it. Throttle full forward. Yeah, well, that's when we get onto the runway. Go to after takeoff, and we'll be good to go. Alright, we can turn this on for this very quickly. Flight plan. Yep, we are in Adelaide. Destination is William Creek, which is Yankee Whiskey Mike Charlie. Yankee Whiskey Mike Charlie. There we go. That's it. Enter. We very good. Now, waypoints. What did I have here? Arepa is the first one, and then WHA. So let's do Arepa. Add a waypoint. AREPA. That goes in the box. And add another one, I believe it's WHA. Let me double check that. WHA, yep. WHA VOR. Enter. Of course, it's a duplicate. We want the Wyala one. Obviously, we don't want that one. And if you're ever confused as to which one you want, a quick way to determine, look at the distance. Obviously, it isn't the second selection because that's over 4,000 nautical miles away. You want this one. And there's one more fix on the, yeah, Charlie Alpha Lima KLR, Charlie Alpha Lima Alpha Romeo. and we are good to go. This is a VFR flight, so this is simply to help us get to our destination. That's set up. The weather does not work on this. This is the free version of the. I'll put a link in the description below as to what GTN 750 I'm utilizing. Not the one from PMS. It's the other one. It's the free version. I'll put the link in the description below. Let's look at our transponder real quick down here. 1200, but we'll still say altitude reporting. And set this over to RNAV. The old Collins DME, which is only going to work if you have it plugged into what we're going to be doing. At any rate, meaning the navigation, the other Garmin, excuse me, not the 750, the 530 and the 430. Anyway, here comes the sun, and I'm gonna assume temperature's gone up just a wee bit. Oh, I think it has. What's the temp inside the cabin? 66. Alright. Not bad. Not bad at all. We are good to go. Checklist is complete. Bring that map up again. We can see where we are. And yes, we are utilizing runway 23. And then we'll be on our way. Oh, the left, oh my bad, I feel bad. The left alternator is not, was not on. Alrighty, let's head over to runway 23 and get out of here. Should be a beautiful departure, coming out over the bay, and then hanging a right, and going north. Alright, brakes in. Our parking brake is off. Here we go. Make sure we're clear on this side. Don't want to hit that aircraft with our left wing. Get back on the juice just a little bit. Don't need to be taxiing quite that fast. Alright. We are getting out of here just in the nick of time. Because for those of you that have been to Australia, you know that, or if you live there, or if you're from there, you know that if, you know how quickly it can heat up. Alright. When I was there, I was in Sydney and Melbourne, but it was right at the beginning of the so-called winter. And one morning I woke up in the hotel in Melbourne at the Rialto Hotel, and winter had definitely set in almost overnight, it seemed like. Alright, zoom out just a bit. We'll fly by hand just a little bit to get a good grasp of how the aircraft is handling. It handles. I've only flown this aircraft a couple times since I got it. Pattern work, that kind of thing. And I have to say it is the best handling aircraft so far for FlySim 2024. Nobody's on the runway, no one's coming in or out. And we're not on Vincent. As soon as we get out there, we'll spin the. Oops, that was my bad. I didn't. Let me fix HSI real quick. My apologies, everybody. 135 is what it needs to read. One, 3, 5. There we go. All I wanted to do was move the heading bug. Line with runway here. Fine tune it. That should be it. And then we'll be on our way. And we'll go ahead and activate the CDI as well. It'll have us adjust the course here, just the bearing here, but we'll adjust the bearing, and then we'll, after we get in the air, so we'll fly heading and altitude for just a little bit over the bay, and then get everything lined up on that end, because true to form, it doesn't automatically adjust the course needle. You have to do that manually. Alright. One last check the panel. That's just the way I do it. Battery left and right alternator. Good. Prop de-ice, not required. No. We're good to go. Fuel boost pumps on. Good. And we will play with the temperature in the cabin. We'll play around with it once we get in the air, get underway. Rotate right there. Whoa, I don't know why the airplane wanted to go that way on us. Hey, no more usable runway. Yeah, I'm trimming like there's no tomorrow. Gear up. View of that happening. There we go. Go ahead and bring in the flaps as well. Alright, gonna turn out over the bay. Like I said, once we get in the right direction, we'll activate the navigation portion of the but we're gonna fly manually here for just about a little bit. Okay, bring that power, not the power, but the props back. Get them back in the green band. There we go. Yep, very fast twin piston. The fastest twin piston, I believe, ever in production. Somebody can correct me on that. Alright. Looking pretty good. Let's zoom out on our Garmin here. Settle in. The nice thing about it, since it actually handles like a real airplane, uh, and flying it manually, that is, really makes it effortless. I mean, once you get it going in the direction you want it, even the turns, it's just A2A, they did a phenomenal job. Absolutely phenomenal job. Alright. Trimming it out manually. Let's get that heading bug now over to where we are. And then we can mess around with the GTN 750. Yeah, it wants to go left a little ways. Okay, heading and attitude is what we want. Autopilot is on. And I was hoping it was going to continue. That's weird. That's heading. My bad. There we go. Let's look at the bay real quick. Alright, let's get climbing. I think 1,000 feet a minute should suffice. A little more. Yeah, that's about right. Get those passing through 3,000 feet. We can begin to bring the mixtures a little lean. Let's get that engine under control though real quick. 20. Let's see, we can just keep it at like 20. Just shy of 2,400 RPM on the RPM. Reduces the climb rate a little bit, but that's alright. Let's just look at our tablet again. Let's just do the after takeoff check. Wheels. Gear up. Left up. Climb. Climb at 122. Fuel pump off at 1,000. The HEL, which is way below us. Reduce to 24 on manual pressure and 24 on RPM. Well, it's either one or the other. If you bring, I mean, the throttle isn't going to give me 24. It might, and let's see if it does. So I don't have much more room to move the throttle here. Okay, that'll work. That'll work very, very well. Alright, and trim. Somewhere between 122 and 160. We're at 150. Yeah, we're at 150, so we're in the groove, so to speak. And I'm going to tell the climb just a little faster. Get us up into that smoother, I should say cooler air, which means that the cabin is gonna 69. That's actually very, very nice. Alright, navigation, kind of important. Let's go direct. Activate that leg, which means direct. Hopefully. It should give us a bearing as to what to do. Does not. Let's go back to the heading. There we go. What is it? One that course needle would be 303. We can do that. And now we're locked on. And we can activate 303. We want it to be 303. We gotta zoom in here. 303. Hi, buddy. Sorry, my dog just woke up from a nap. He came in to check in on how is Dad doing. Gotta get him on the webcam one of these days. All right, activate navigation here. Make sure we're on GPS and nav. We'll pick up that course pretty quickly here. There we go. Where did he go? My puppy, that is. He's a black lab. Came into the office and said, alright, you're not paying attention to me, I'm gonna leave. Okay. Let's see, there we go. Picking up that. Picking it up. Which is what you want. Let's begin to bring those mixtures back a little bit. Get better fuel economy. And we can increase the throttle now a little better. Gives a little more. We'll lean it out though, we get better fuel economy. Don't think it's going to give us any more manifold pressure than that. $70 degrees, turn on the fan. Alright. Looking good. Looking very good. Okay, landing lights. Turn off. Alright. Bring the mixtures back just a wee bit more. Maybe not. We'll see what happens we'll see what happens once we level off at 9,000. As you can see, the centrifugal tank fuselage tank, which gives fuel to the wing tanks. It's a very interesting way how the Aerostar manages fuel. If the fuel in the fuselage tank goes into the wing tanks, And that's how you stay nice and balanced. Once the fuselage tank is burned, then the engines feed off of each wing respectively. Comes 9,000. Let's dial the pitch wheel down a wee bit. There we go. There we go. Alright, and hold the altitude. Alright, now where does it like us to put the, just see what it has to say with regard to power set. Alright, make sure it's set as desired. Fuel, monitor it. Fuel pumps, verify they're off, and they are off. Engine gauges, check. Fuel pressure and engine gauges, check. Just push the engine all the way forward. And as you can see, that does absolutely nothing because we're pretty thin air for a piston. So we simply want to rely on that speed to keep us up here. 9,000 feet on the nose. How do you like that? Got lucky. Alright. How's that temperature looking in the cabin? 67 degrees Fahrenheit. 19 degrees Celsius or centigrade. Looking good. And now we could do a test. We could have done the test on the ground, but it's just making sure that all the lights work on the autopilot. Anvil pressure is 22. It's not going to give us any more than that. The engines are all the way forward. So now it's just more of an issue of making sure the prop stays at 2400 RPM on both engines. If we zoom in, you can see both needles dancing around over there at 2400. Manifold, yeah. Left engine shy of 22, right engine 22, and it's looking good. Okay, that's just a very comfortable. I know for some people that might be a bit on the cool side. Let's see what the tablet has to say about that. What do we got here? Green. That means that they like it. So 65. It'll warm up. I mean, you can't have so much direct sunlight coming in and for it not to warm up eventually. Put that away. Don't need it anymore. Okay, 1 mile to our first navigational fix. We're up. Next one's going to be WHA. Let's see how good a transition that does. Did not do one. Interesting. White band. Why did it not continue on to... Yes. WHA is where it's supposed to go. No, 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 no. No. WHA. Activate that leg. Yes. No, 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 no. No. It. No. It. Jeez. Alright. Well. Comes down to, what it comes down to is the course needle. That's why I was saying no, 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 no. It didn't give me a. It did not give me a number on the. There it is. I bet you anything that is the number. Yep, 343. So. Alright. And of course that's going to make the aircraft turn. Let's go back. Zoom in. It's going to pick up the... Alright, that's good. Three, 4, 3. We'll go here. 3, 4, 2. No, that's close. 3, 4, 3. And it should make a nice turn to the left. There we go. Look at that. Picked it up. And we're on our way. Let's go outside and watch the view. And on top of that, I'm gonna be quiet for a while. You don't need to listen to this horrible voice talk. So you all can enjoy it. And again, all I'm gonna be doing is I'm just gonna be sitting here monitoring the engines as well as the cabin temperature. And that's a little warm, 63. And heater a little bit. Anyway, enjoy the sights and the sounds of the Aerostar, and I'll come in and talk as needed. And here we are again, everybody. Sorry for the big lapse in time there, but I had to take care of my aforementioned black lab puppy. He had to he had to do his business and taking him outdoors. It's quite the event when it's only 3 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So very cold here in the northern hemisphere. But down here, let's see what's the thermometer reading. 9,000 E59, like 58, 59 according to the tablet. Earlier, you saw what you pardon me. Earlier, you saw me plug in the next navigation fix, which is CALAR, CALAR. And when I said fly direct, it didn't do that. It didn't do that at all. Hang on a second, my dog is barking again. My apologies. Hang on a second. Would you like to say hi to the people? He put his nose on the microphone. He doesn't want to say anything. You don't want to say anything? No? Are you okay? What's up with all the barking? What's up with all the barking? What's up with the barking, buddy? Oh, he wants to come into the cockpit. You want to come into the cockpit? Oh no. Don't touch any switches. Oh, licking the headset. I see. You don't want to say anything? You need to go back to where the passengers are sitting. In your case, that's in front of a really big television. You're on my lap. Well, I have your body's on my lap. What scared you? You're supposed to be asleep. Hapu, and yes, for everybody, that is his name, Hapu. Named after the nickname that they gave the SR-71 Blackbird. He's a black lab, and he acts like he's at 80,000 feet, going Mach 3.2, so I said, what a perfect name. A black jet for a black dog. He has all the characteristics of the SR-71. Okay, buddy, when I get down, you need to go sleep. Yes, sir. You need to go sleep. Oh. So now you don't like me. So now you don't like me talking to people? All of a sudden? I think you need to go sleep. Hop. The moment I begin talking, he... Okay, there goes my headset. Help. No. No. We don't want to do that. That would not be good. He's never acted like this before. It's okay. Shh. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody, my apologies. It's okay. I don't know what scared you. You need to go sleep. Go sleep. Be right back, everybody. Sorry. Alright, everyone. My apologies. something scared my puppy, even though he's, how is he? Let's see. He'll be, even though he's almost 8, almost 8 months old, he still gets, easily spooked. Anyway, as I was saying, since I've only flown this aircraft just a handful of times, this is the first time I've actually taken it on a trip. And so far, everything seems to be where it needs to be. Cross-reference checklists, and yeah, it's turn the heat back on. It's running as let's see if we can warm things up. It is running as necessary. What you saw earlier, I don't know, would have been like maybe half an hour ago or less. You might have seen me having to go into the GTN 750 and select direct KLAR. And when I did that, the aircraft began to turn back toward the previous waypoint. So, fortunately, we were able to right the ship, so to speak. That heading bug set it up. That's the Boeing inside of me, always centering up the heading bug on your current heading. Which, as you can see before, that was a very, very nice thing to have done. Alright, so where exactly are we here? We zoom. Let's look at the GTN 750 again. Look at the map. We are... That's our headwind. 10 knots. 10 knot headwind. But hey, we are doing 213 knots on the ground, which isn't bad. And hopefully you've been able to watch the scenery for those of you that have been watching consistently or on and off. The terrain has been changing accordingly, which is nice to see. And for some odd reason, the GTN 750 just wasn't automatically going to the next waypoint. Why that was, I don't know, but it wasn't doing that. Alright, so, as promised, and by the way, the engines I've been keeping a very close eye on the engines, and they've just been running as promised, or I should say as advertised. They've been great. They're both, the right engine, well, are they completely in sync with each other? No, not 100%, but looking at the fuel burn, we've got 45 gallons on the right wing, 40, I'd say just shy of 45 on both wings, and it's around 31 pounds in the fuselage. Gallons, I'm sorry. And yeah, everything's been working great, and so looking at the fuel flow, 2 hours and 26 remaining. Back to all. So 16,000. Let's go back to the fuel flow for a sec. Alright. So we're currently doing 15, just a little over 15 gallons an hour per side. 73, basically 74 gallons remaining, which, math on that doesn't seem to quite equal, but with regard to the old-fashioned gauges up here, but maybe, let's see here. Okay, looking good. 58 on it. Okay, we're fine. So that's all. So the temperature inside the cockpit here. Okay, in the cabin. All right. Well, we need to open up the heat. Bring the heat on board. Cabin heat. This is cutting it. Yeah. Then we're going to talk about the. That'll warm things up pretty quick once I open that up. At least that's what the tablet should show, rapid heating. Yeah. Turn the cabin heat off. That obviously isn't working. If it is working, it's working very, very little. Because we're basically par with we're basically equal with what is outside the aircraft. Which is weird because we have enough sunlight coming in, you think that would heat the aircraft up, and it is not, which is a little unusual coming from such a high fidelity sim designer such as A2A. I'm used to flying a lot faster, a whole lot higher. Alright, but anyway, back to what I said I was going to do. Trying to make the channel unique. Alright, so our destination here is our part one of two parts. Flying from Adelaide to Ayers Rock with one stopover. And that's what we're going to talk about, the stopover. We're going to be talking about William Creek. Yeah, officially it's known as the William Creek Aerodrome. And the interesting thing about that, I'll do one thing real quick. Because the temperatures in William Creek, because as you know, there's so much mining goes on, and but anyway, it's kind of interesting to understand what it is all about when you, depending upon what search results you study and this and that, but it's a very well known place in the Outback, as they say, down under. And it definitely is the epitome of the word remote. By many people, it is considered, maybe even by the Australian government, it is known as the smallest town in all of Australia, which is interesting. Even though it has a permanent population of of 6 people, just 6. But it serves as a very crucial oasis for people on the Oodnadatta. I'm sure I just totally butchered that word. Oodnadatta track. And it's unique because it has some quirky, interesting landmarks. And the location is within the world's largest working cattle station, which is the Anna Creek Station. And it covers a very large area, larger than if you were to take like the countries of Israel or Belgium. The Anna Creek Station itself, as a cattle station, it's bigger than both of those countries. To give you an idea as to how big it really is. And back in the day, William Creek, the hotel, was one of the world's most remote pubs, as you say in England and down under. If you don't know what a pub is, you're probably more than likely from North America or South America, Central America, South America, the Caribbean. A pub is a word for bar. And but anyway, and back in the day, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, England, they actually had one successful independent space launch, and it was trying to look. I'll have to look at the date, but for those of you interested in space, aerospace, aviation, there is a memorial park in William Creek, and it'll be interesting to see if Microsoft Flight Sim actually 2024, if it actually has this in the scenery or not. But it houses the remains of the first stage of the Black Arrow, which was the name of the rocket that Britain successfully got up into space, and the debris from that rocket launched from Woomera. But anyway, so it has a couple of unique things to see. And going back in history, you can actually find the very first solar-powered public telephone in Australia, along with a solitary parking meter in the middle of the desert that collects donations for the Royal Flying Doctor Service. So if there's an actual single parking meter in the middle of that desert that we're going to collecting donations for the Royal Flying Doctor Service, I'd say we're going to be in a very, very remote area of the country. But it is the closest. It's the gateway. It is the main gateway to some of Australia's most amazing natural wonders of all of Australia. Obviously, the Great Coral Reef out to the east is something to see, but one of them here near William Creek is Lake Ira, and it is the closest settlement to Australia's largest salt lake. So scenic flights on the airstrip are the best way to appreciate the scale of the salt lake, especially when it floods. Something tells me it's not going to be flooded today, but hopefully we'll be able to see it, because we're going to be going in from a perfect angle to see it. Hopefully we can see it. And we also have the Anna Creek Painted Hills. We're going to be seeing those as well. The stunning bright, they're really stunning, and they're a type of a sandstone, and they've eroded over who knows how many years. But they're only accessible by, with regard to seeing them, they're only accessible by air, and they do have flights that do operate directly out of William Creek. And if you're a real history buff, I mean a real hardcore history buff, you can go there and check out the relics of the original narrow gauge gone railway line, which passed through the town up until 1980. So hopefully the scenery is a little bit like what I read about the area. Hopefully we'll be able to see some of it. And yeah, that's all about. But as I was reading that, I didn't let you all look out the window as well as I should have. My apologies. What is the temperature in the cockpit now? 60. Let's see, turn the heat on again. Let's see if that heats things up just a bit. But anyway, with regard to ground speed, 260 knots translated into miles per hour, 249. So, we're doing good. We are doing very good. Wow, that engine, that engine cowling, was it nearly that dirty when we took off? That's, have to clean that up when we get to William Creek. But, as I said, hopefully you've enjoyed the scenery so far. That's really all you can do on a flight like this, is enjoy the scenery. But, let's see, we are 41 nautical miles out of Kalar, which is our final approach today, so there'll be a visual landing. And speaking of that, let's go over here and get the weather for William Creek. Let's just get the weather for here. Alright. Do it this way. Alright, let's get the info on that. Altimeter is 1008. I think that is on par with, so we got a new one. I think that is where it was when we departed Adelaide. Let me look that up here real quick. Let's make sure. Let's just double check. That's what I was thinking. In the real world, it does not have a traditional hourly meter because it isn't staffed. Alright. Just looking at what the weather is going to be when we get there. By mid-morning, it's already going to be pushing 88 degrees Fahrenheit and or 33 degrees centigrade. And it's going to be heading toward a staggering 116 degrees. So for all of you watching who are in North America experiencing a so-called winter storm like me, 116 compared to 3, you tell me which one is worse, because I can't think of, I don't know how to, I honestly don't know how to compare the two, which one is better. It's like opposite ends of the spectrum. Neither one of them is going to give you the median line on the bell curve, so to speak. Not even close. The whole thing ought to be very interesting. The approach, I might do a flyby of the airport before landing on it, because it is not a paved strip. It is a dirt strip. And I've never landed the Aerostar on an unimproved strip. As I said earlier, there's the lake right there. As I said earlier, I say dry lake earlier, I'm going to say salt lake. I said salt lake, yes, there it is. Yeah, Kalar, as you can see, which is our next navigational fix, is right on the edge of that lake that we were talking about. So after that, it'll be a left turn and into William Creek as requested, as promised. See the temperature outside now, up here, is 57, 58. So, 97. Holy cow, it got hot in here. Way too hot. Yikes, sorry about that. My mistake. There's one way to cool everything off real quick. Open these up. Maybe wondering, where does that air come from? Watch this. Right there. And on high. Let's get a good meter. I'm sorry, meter. 2965. Conflicting here. Alright, let's just go for 2965. We'll dial that in right here right now. 2965. 75. That's about as good as it's gonna get. Right there we go. There we go. Alright. There we are. Plenty of fuel. The key is, let's zoom in. Zoom, zoom, zoom. 13 miles from that. Alright. Let's do our pre-descent checklist here. Approach. See, boost pumps are going to be on. Let's go ahead and get that over with. Make sure to be full rich. Well, that's as we descend. I'll give it all it's got there. Fuel selector both on. Flaps below 175. About to go to 20 degrees. Gear gotta be below 157 indicated. Gear lights are gonna be on. Just go ahead and get the landing lights on right here, right now. Get that over with. Just temperature again, 77 in the cabin. We can cool it off. Because something tells me it's gonna get really warm really fast on our descent. It's just something tells me it's heated up immensely in just the last hour. So we're gonna make the cabin nice and cool. Alright. Down we go. Alright. Let's get back on the juice here. The juice being the engines. Get back just a wee bit. .200 knots indicated. I'll take it. Bump the mixture up just a little bit. Just a little bit. 66. Make us send it right in turn. The airport is the other way. Frustrating, isn't it? Unbelievably frustrating. It's supposed to continue on to the airport. Let's see what it does. I mean, I just don't understand why it does this. If someone can understand why the GTN 750 doesn't, drop a comment below. I would love to know. Okay, we got everything closed up. You know, any warm air coming in because that's exactly what we're going to have. Very, very hot air. What's the temperature out there now? Oh, it's already 75. Wow. Alright. Let's get rid of the... Let's see, it's 26 miles out. Can we see it already? Or not? Okay, we don't need to go as, let's bump up those mixture just a little bit. We don't need to be descending as fast as we are. I would like to get us going direct, though. We're not going direct anymore. My plan. What are the winds again? As I was reading it, the winds are out of southwest. Oh, they do have an asphalt runway. See that? It depends on what source you use. Alright. Or I should say what AI source you use. Runway 29. Let's see if we can get a 29 here. Load procedure. Approach. There aren't any. That's what I figured with regard to this free GTN 750. There aren't any. Alright. Let's go direct. See if we can go. We'll do it this way. We'll go here. We'll go direct. We'll do it this way. Let's make it easier. And activate that. And it wants to go right. Just picking up the course. There we go. I'm watching the flight director more than anything. Alright, let's bring this back. Meaning the manifold pressure. Let's bring those engines back a little more. Is it going to give us direct, or are we're too far away for that to happen? Okay, go 210. We're going to go ahead and level off. We're plenty low enough for this. And we're going to go heading mode. Alright, let's slowly introduce full mixture. Get those RPMs up. Alright. We should be looking right at it. Let's do that again, direct. Activate. Let's spin that needle to what? 246? Alright. try keeping an eye out. 60 miles out. That's bumped off the power here. Plenty of fuel. We have plenty of fuel to go all the way to Ayers Rock, but who wants to watch a YouTube video that's over 2.5 hours long? So, unless you really, really, really love the aircraft, we definitely don't. We want when we land, we definitely will not be topping off the fuel tanks. We've got more than enough to get us out to Ayers Rock, which is very interesting. It shows you how versatile this aircraft really is. Very, very versatile. And now we're so low. Kind of gives you an idea of what kind of a race car this thing really is. I mean, we are moving to make sure we're not getting anything too hot, like the cylinder heads, the oil temp. Everybody looks cool. I guess the air, yeah, that's what I thought. Alright, what's the temperature now? 93, 94. Yikes. Yikes. Okay, coming up. Coming up. Let's go right just a wee bit. That just doesn't make as much sense. Okay, where is the field? We should be looking right down the 266. We should be looking right down the middle of it. Let's slow it way down straight to this road here. I see it. Yep. Alright, let's turn off the auto and let's head over see what this is all about. So we need to be landing in this direction. Okay, let's just see what this thing is. What are the minimum and maximum? Flaps 20 below 175, so we can't go 20 on the flaps. I like that a lot. Helps us tremendously. There we go. Yeah, I knew the nose would balloon on us, but we gotta slow it up. We gotta see where we're going, see what we're doing. Let's see what it's like on the outside. Alright. Very good. Park the wings. Alright. Now we know what we're dealing with. We know where the runway is. We can do this. Alright. Looking good. Now what we're basically doing is we're making our own downwind leg now that we've done that. Should be able to come out of here. Yeah. Okay. This is the epitome of VFR flying. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Alright, let's look out that right window. See where we are in relation to the runway. Should be right. Should be parallel with it. Oh, I see. There you can see the gravel strip right there. All right. And nose wants to sink just a wee bit. Okay. And this thing does not like to land slow. The red mark on the airspeed indicator, it might as well be moved all the way up to 95 knots minimum. And the fact that the elevation is just shy of 1,000 feet above sea level. Alright. All the lights are on that need to be on. It is some air coming in here. Some kind of air moving. It's been a chilly flight. It's just because this aircraft is so temperamental with regard to temperature. Alright, right turn. We should be far enough out. Let's bring it back. Okay, let's do like a pre-landing check on this. Full original selection. Okay. They want us to do 140 knots. They don't say if it's indicated. I'm going to assume it is, although for this runway, 140 knots. That is a little on the fast side. Alrighty, here. Landing. Reduce 100 knots. Okay, we can do that. Let's go ahead and get the gear down. It's one less thing to think about. Keep those flaps all the way down as well. 3 green. Good. Alright. Now we have to do a little bit of yanking and banking so we can get lined up as we need to. Yeah, with all that desert heat, you're going to have a little bit of turbulence here and there. Little low. Get that nose up. Requires a lot of trim. Wow. What is our VSI? That's what I thought, just a wee bit. Yeah, that whiskey compass is spinning like a top. Interesting. Alright. Gotta slow it up a little bit. Keeping in mind the heat. Airplanes and heat, especially if you come into a small strip, makes things tricky. southwest. We have a tailwind here. But we can always go around if I feel it's unstable, although 7 knots is minus flow 10, which means that the wind is variable and you can take off and land in either direction. But all right. Let's see if we can. All right, not too bad. Aerodynamic braking on this. A little bit of brakes, a little bit of brake. And welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get her off the runway here. See, I guess we'll park. So park over here. Get those flaps up. I imagine that the van that's pulled up there is waiting for us. Nice service. Well, I hope you enjoyed the flight. Kind of unusual in that you didn't have to listen to me talk, but that's actually a very, very good thing. Who wants to listen to me? I don't even like listening to me, so. Oh, they give us a marshaller, okay. Really? More? I think we're just fine. I think that's good enough. Nope, I don't think we need to go any more than that. I really don't. Okay, parking brake is on. Let's get that left engine. What's the temperature in here? Oh, stifling 95 degrees. Holy moly. Alright. Engine lane, see, boost pumps coming off. And we gotta get out of here because, man, that's hot. Close the vents here. See, full forward, boost pumps off. Okay, trim tabs are neutral. Cabin heaters on. Fan goes off. Shutdown. Parking brakes good. Idle. Engine cool down. Well, engine cool down. It'll take a while. Radios and lights are off. Okay, so turn off our. Technically, you gotta leave your beacon on until the engine's off. Lights are off. Magnetos. I'm gonna go and shut down the engines with the mixture. Mags, mixture, fuel. That's the way I was taught to do things. Turn off the fuel valves here. Fuel selectors, that is. Alternators and battery, and we're good to go. Alright, battery. Alternator. Nav, off, 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 off. Master Avionics, off, autopilot, off. Those two can stay on. Shut. Hydraulics. Mains closed. Everybody else is good to go. Battery off. Let's get out of here. It's awful hot. No, not that's going to be any nicer outside. What is it out there? Whoa, 95. Yeah, yikes. Well, there you go. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, I didn't turn off the parking brake. We don't need it. Put the chocks in. Put the chocks on. Yeah, this airplane needs to be washed, doesn't it? That's an interesting aircraft. I have no idea what it is. It looks like a. Well, if someone out there does know what that is, let me know. Looks like a. Looks like the old Eclipse that really never went anywhere, but someone decided to put engines in the wings. Anyway, chalk it up here. Call it a morning, and it is hot, hot, hot. I mean hot. So anyway, there you have it. Hope you enjoyed the views on the way. And yeah, next flight is going to be going to Ayers Rock, where we can really do some amazing sightseeing on the next flight coming out of this airport. We'll fly over that Salt Lake and check things out. And but anyway, yeah, my very first airport to airport journey in the Aerostar. Wonderful aircraft to fly, easy to fly, handles realistically unlike anything else that is on the market for flights in 2024. Just handles great. I mean, it just handles like it should. Which I think is the only aircraft that has its own physics model, but could be wrong. I mean, PMDG, that's a different category altogether. But hope you enjoy the flight. Hope you got something out of it. Maybe you learned something, enjoyed the scenery. I tried to make it a flight for everyone to enjoy. Don't worry, like I said in the very beginning, you can jump around. I'll make chapters. You can click on the chapters below, rather, and look at. You can just zip through the flight that way instead of sitting for over 2 hours watching paint dry on a wall. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like the video, please smash that thumbs up button. Give us a subscribe to the channel as well. And take good care, especially if you're living in North America, experiencing winter storm where we have single-digit and below 0 Fahrenheit temperatures. Take very good care. And if you're in Australia, take good care with this extreme heat. 116 degrees today. Oh my gosh. Wow. Anyway, yeah, just everyone take care. And as always, frequency change is approved. Fly safe.